time we haven't spoken to you. We have a couple of books here. We probably will get a little bit into one. This is Movie Star Portraits of the 40s, the 163 Glamour photos, edited by Joan Crawford. We have another book, but I don't know if we're going to get to that yet today. Oh, that's also by Joan Crawford, Hollywood Glamour Portraits. So let's start work. We'll start talking about these beautiful photos. Oh, look at that. That's Betty Grable, 1941. Photo, Frank, 20th Century Parts. Okay, that's the first one we have here. And then Gary Cooper, 1939. Gary Cooper. Who's this? This is Ingrid Bergman. Ingrid Bergman, 1938. Who's this? Dolores Del Rio. You have a good shot of that? Dolores Del Rio, 1940. Patricia Morrison. Patricia Morrison, 1940. This is the glamour photos that they had in those days, in the 40s and the 30s. Lana Turner. Linda Darnell, 1941. Hedy Lamarr, 1940. Marlene Dietrich, 1940. Jean Tierney, 1939. Oh, this one I remember. This I recognize her. Katharine Hepburn, 1941. Alice Faye, 1940. Alice Faye, she played, she was the one that was in King Kong. She was in King Kong. Victor Mature, 1941. Let's see, Deanna Durbin, 1941. She was a very famous actress. Deanna Durbin, 1941. Robert Taylor and Barbara Stanwyck. Robert Taylor, Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck later was in the Big Valley, a TV show, The Big Valley. That was a Western. So that was Robert Taylor with her. Jean Tierney, 1941. Publicity shot for Sundown. Jean Tierney. Ida Lupino, 1941. Oh, that's interesting. She's got a cigarette with a holder there. You see. So that's Ida Lupino. This is for Warner Brothers. She was doing a publicity shot for Warner Brothers. Linda Darnell, 1942. Ida Lupino, 1940. Oh, there's Ida Lupino again. This is publicity shot for They Drive by Night. That's a publicity shot. Marlene Dietrich, 1941. Here's another picture of Marlene Dietrich. Publicity shot for Manpower. Lupe Velez, 1941. This is for RKO Radio. Joan Crawford, 1939. Very interesting black and white photos. Photo by Laszlo Willinger for MGM, costume by Adrian. This is Lupe Velez, 1940. Ernest A. Bachrach for RKO Radio. That's a nice, an interesting profile there. You see that one? This is Lupe Velez. Lupe Velez. This is Olivia de Havilland, 1941. Joan Fontaine, 1941. Over here. This is a publicity shot for Suspicion. Olivia de Havilland, 1941. For Paramount. That's an interesting photo there. Hedy Lamarr, 1939. Eric Carpenter for MGM. Loretta Young, 1940. This is the Doctor Takes a publicity shot for The Doctor Takes a Wife. Loretta Young. Marlene Dietrich. Let's see, Ray Jones for Universal. Ray Jones was the photographer for Universal. Oh, that's an interesting and nice shot over there. Loretta Young, 1948. That's Schaefer for Paramount. Loretta Young, 1941. Ray Jones for Universal. Vivien Leigh, 1940. Let's see, publicity shot for Waterloo Bridge. Loretta Young, 1941, photographed by John Engstead. Rita Hayworth. This is publicity shot for You'll Never Get Rich. Rita Hayworth. Ann Sheridan, 1941. This is for Warner Brothers. Rita Hayworth. This is for, what's this, Angels Over Broadway. This is Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth is for Warner Brothers, right over here. Margaret Sullavan. Margaret Sullavan. This is publicity shot for Apartment for Love. Margaret Sullavan. She played with John Wayne, I think, later on. Gloria Swanson. This is for RKO Radio. Gloria Swanson. She was a very big star, too. She was in the silent movies, Gloria Swanson. And this was in 1941. Here we go. Betty Davis, 1940. This is George Hurrell for Warner Brothers. Hedy Lamarr, 1939. Photo George Hurrell. So that's, who's this? Hedy Lamarr. This is Dorothy Lamour, 1940. That's a posed shot. This is publicity shot for Johnny Apollo. Johnny Apollo. Hedy Lamarr, 1941. This is for MGM. Yeah, this looks like Betty Davis again. Betty Davis, 1942, for Warner Brothers. Vivien Leigh and Laurence Olivier, 1941. Photo Laszlo Willinger for United Artists. Publicity shot for That Hamilton Woman. That's an interesting picture there. With nice clothing, nice apparel they have on there. That's Vivien Leigh. Vivien Leigh was, of course, in that very famous show called, let's see, with, what was the name of that? That was with Clark Gable. All right, we'll think of it later. Anyway, Vivien Leigh and Laurence Olivier. Orson Welles, 1940. Orson Welles. Here he is. As a young man, 1940. Vivien Leigh, 1940. Again, Vivien Leigh. Anyway, let's see. I'm still thinking about what that Vivien Leigh was. That's Vivien Leigh, 1940. This is Robert Coburn for United Artists. Publicity shot for That Hamilton Woman. Ann Sheridan, 1940. George Hurrell for Warner Brothers. Publicity shot for It All Came True. So this is who? This is Ann Sheridan. Irene Dunn, 1940. This is, let's see, who this is? Ernest A. Bachrach for RKO Radio. Publicity shot for My Favorite Wife. What's her name? Irene Dunn. Greta Garbo, 1941. Clarence Sinclair Bull for MGM. Publicity shot for Two-Faced Woman. So this is who? This is Greta Garbo. She was a very famous actress too, of course. Rosalind Russell, 1941. Publicity shot for Design for Scandal. Joan Crawford, 1940. This is publicity shot for Susan and God. She did a movie called Susan and God. Joan Crawford. There she is. Fred MacMurray, 1940, for Paramount. Fred MacMurray. He did later on My Three Sons. Fred MacMurray. That was on TV. Kay Francis, 1940. This is Ray Jones for Universal. Kay Francis. These are various actresses of the era, 1940s. Marlene Dietrich, 1941. Photo A.L. Whitey Schaefer for Columbia. Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich, 1947. Whitey, that's A.L. Whitey Schaefer for Paramount. That's Marlene Dietrich. A few years later. Anyway, Sonja Henie. This is 1943. Wintertime. That's a very nice photograph. This is Michelle Morgan, 1940. RKO Radio. They had nice poses there, nice props. And Judy Garland, 1940, MGM. She was in The Wizard of Oz, Judy Garland. Judy Garland again, 1943. This is shot for Presenting Lily Mars. Hedy Lamarr, 1939. This is a photo Laszlo Willinger for MGM, costume by Adrian. Publicity shot for Lady of the Tropics. Hedy Lamarr. Maria Montez, 1943. Photo Ray Jones for Universal. Publicity shot for White Savage. That's Maria Montez. Rhonda Fleming, 1946. Madison Lacey for United Artists. Selznick. So this is Rhonda Fleming. Rhonda Fleming. Carole Landis, 1940. Photo Tom Evans for United Artists. Publicity shot for Turnabout. So this is who? Carole Landis. This is publicity shot for Turnabout. This looks familiar. Oh yeah, this the Claudette Colbert, 1943. Publicity shot for So Proudly We Hail. Myrna Loy, 1941. Photograph for Laszlo Willinger for MGM. She was in the series called The Thin Man. The Thin Man with William Powell. She was. They did a few movies like that called The Thin Man. The Thin Man Returns and The Thin Man. So this is Myrna Loy, 1941. Alan Ladd, 1942. This is A.L. Whitey Schaefer for Paramount. Publicity shot for This Gun for Hire. Veronica Lake. Veronica Lake, 1942. That's publicity shot for This Gun for Hire. George Harrell for Paramount. Publicity shot for This Gun for Hire. Veronica Lake, 1941. Paramount. Veronica Lake, 1941. This is for Paramount. Eugene Robert Ritchie. They think it's Eugene Robert Ritchie for Paramount. Alexa Smith, 1942. George Harrell for Warner Brothers. This is Ginger Rogers, 1943. This is publicity shot for Lady in the Dark, Ginger Rogers. She was a very famous dancer. She danced with it'll come to me in a minute. Let's see. All right, Ginger Rogers. She was a very famous actress. Ginger Rogers. What's this? Dorothy Lamour, 1943. Publicity shot for Masquerade in Mexico. Dorothy Lamour. Lena Horne. Oh, she was a famous singer in 1943. Famous singer and actress. And this is Edward Cronenworth for MGM. Costume by Irene Sharaff, still from Swing Fever. So this is Lena Horne. Marion Martin, 1942. Photo by Ernest A. Bachrach for RKO Radio. Ilona Massey, this is 1942. Ray Jones for Universal. Publicity shot for Invisible Again. That's Ilona Massey. Mae West, 1943. This is George Hurrell, photographed by George Hurrell for Columbia. Costume by Walter Plunkett. Publicity shot for The Heat's On. This is Mae West. Paulette Goddard, 1940. William Walling for Paramount. By the way, if anyone can remember some of these people I seem to have forgotten, they're welcome to put a comment on and they can remind us. Ava Gardner, 1947. This is photo. Eric Carpenter for MGM. Ava Gardner. She was married to Frank Sinatra. She was one of Frank Sinatra's wives. Ava Gardner and Mickey Rooney, 1942. Eric Carpenter for MGM. Ava Gardner, she was a very famous actress. And Mickey Rooney was a big actor, too. Let's see. Greer Garson. Greer Garson, 1943. Photo, Laszlo Willinger for MGM. Dorothy McGuire, 1943. Photo, Ernest A. Bachrach for RKO Radio. We have some men here. Van Johnson, 1942. Photo, Eric Carpenter for MGM. Here we are. Gay Madison, 1945. Photo by John Merrily for United Artists. Selznick. Ann Southern, 1942. Laszlo Willinger for MGM. Ann Southern. Lana Turner, 1944. Clarence Sinclair Bull was the photographer for MGM. Who's this? This is Chorhan Bey, 1943. Photo by Eric Carpenter for MGM. Is that Chorhan Bey? Maria Montez, 1942. Photo, Ray Jones for Universal. This is Jennifer Jones, 1946. This is a publicity shot for Duel in the Sun. That's Jennifer Jones. Gregory Peck, 1943. Photo by Ernest A. Bachrach. This book is called Movie Star Portraits of the 40s. 163 glamour photos by Dover publication. Joseph Cotton, 1944. Photo. Al St. Hilaire for United Artists. Jennifer Jones, 1945. Photo by John Maley for United Artists. Selznick was the producer. Betty Hutton, 1942. Betty Hutton. Publicity. This is a photo by A.L. Whitey Schaefer for Paramount. Mary McDonald, 1943. Photo by A.L. Whitey Schaefer for Paramount. Let's see. Humphrey Bogart, 1941, for Warner Brothers. He was a very famous actor. Humphrey Bogart, a big actor. Jane Wyman, 1942, photo by Scotty Wellborn for Warner Brothers. Jane Wyman. She was a big actress, too. As a matter of fact, she was married to Ronald Reagan. She was the President Ronald Reagan's first wife. Jane Wyman, 1942. Carmen Miranda, 1940. This is photo by Frank Powolny for 20th Century Fox, custom by Travis Benton. So the photo is by Frank Powolny for 20th Century Fox, custom by Travis Benton. That's the costume. Dorothy Lamour, 1943. A.L. Whitey Schaefer for Paramount, costume for Edith Head. Costume by Edith Head, publicity shot for Dixie. Edith Head was a very famous costume designer and costume director for all of the movies at the time. Edith Head. Dorothy Lamour, 1943. There she is. Alan Ladd, 1942, a very famous leading man. This is Eugene Robert Ritchie or George Hurrell for Paramount. Yvonne De Carlo, 1944, Roman Froilich for Universal publicity shot for Salome, where she danced. I think she was in the Batman series. She was one of the Catwomen, Yvonne De Carlo. So this was her, and this is a Batman series in the 60s. This is Yvonne De Carlo, 1944. Claire Trevor, 1944. Photo, Ernest A. Bachrach for RKO Radio. Claire Trevor. Lucille Ball, 1940. Photo, Ernest A. Bachrach for RKO Radio. She was a great comedian, a very famous comedian. Lucille Ball. A lot of the comedians learned from her. Lucille Ball, 1940. Sid Charisse, 1947. Photo, Eric Carpenter for MGM. Ava Gardner, 1944. Photo, Eric Carpenter for MGM. Costume by Irene. Publicity shot for Two Girls and a Sailor. So this is Ava Gardner. Publicity shot for Two Girls and a Sailor. Okay. Thanks a lot. So I hope you enjoyed it. Here's we'll go through a little bit of this, and yeah. There's Robert Mitchum. This is Eleanor Parker, and that's Burt Lancaster. And okay, this is Sylvia Sidney. Sylvia Sidney, Faith Damargue, 1950. Who's this? Paulette Goddard. This is Gary Cooper. This is Esther Williams. This is Ingrid Bergman. Marilyn Monroe. This is Marilyn Monroe. And okay, so thanks a lot. And we have a little bit of an idea of this wonderful book, Movie Star Portraits of the 40s. Then there's Hollywood Glamour Portraits. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks a lot.